Hello, everybody. I'm Mel Doerr, the Aloha shirt psychic. I'm going solo today. I do have Aiden behind the scenes, pulling the strings. And if I get in too much of a dither, I can say, help. Uh, um, I'm going to be answering your questions tonight, so please put them in all caps so I can see them. I'm just happy to be doing this. It's fun. I want to say thank you to Arthur because he wrote that lead in for me a long time ago. We also use a semblance of that on Aloha Tuesdays. So thank you, Arthur. His channel is going gangbusters. If you like what I'm doing, thumbs up. Please hit the subscribe button. I've got some meditation and healing videos coming out with Hawaiian-based themes. So that's going to be fun. I'm going to be doing a couple nights a month answering personal questions for my members and my subscribers, and then for members only. So a lot of good things on the horizon. I'm feeling better. I'm still a little bit weak, but just feeling a little bit better. I went to the surgeon and he said I'm doing well, but they wanted me to eat lots of protein. So here we are. I'll talk about the illness in a second, but for those of you who are interested in travel, I do have a couple openings on my Peru trip, and that's September 16th through the 24th. If you're going to go, you need to let me know within the next week or two, because after that, we're past final payment, and then I can't add anybody new. Also, I have openings for Iceland. I've got some openings there. So for Iceland, you let me know within the next 3 or 4 weeks. Iceland's October 1st through 7th, I'm sorry. Now, a lot of people are voicing fear about getting on an airplane and going to South America. Machu Picchu is going to be an absolutely safe trip. And if I thought for 1 nanosecond that it was going to be unsafe, you think I'd be on that airplane? So it'll be a fun trip. So everybody, please check it out. If you like information, go on my website, www.meldoerr.com, or call 847-590-5411. My website shows the trip and the cost. And if you're interested, then call the office at the number listed below. I want to say hi to my friend Andrew from Andro Niki Products. It's Andro plus Niki, Niki Skincare. And the website is andro-niki, Niki.com. And, I had like plaque psoriasis or eczema or something on my fingers. And the dermatologist gave me all these creams. And I started using the Andro Niki. And I'm not making any medical claims or anything like that. I'm not getting paid by Andro Niki. But I started using it. Boy, with the serums, there's 7 different serums and a moisturizer. And I started putting on my hands and I noticed the difference. And I'm putting it on my face and wow, it's incredible. So check it out. Some of the serums are on back order because the response has been so amazing. But go check it out. Andrew-Niki.com. All right. So having said all that, my health real quick. I woke up March the 13th in excruciating pain. I kept thinking it would go away. My husband talked me into going into the emergency room, and I did. And they told me had I waited a day, I would have died, because I was thinking about waiting another day. And diverticulosis, those are little pockets in your intestine. Diverticulitis is when they become infected. And unbeknown to me, I knew something was wrong. I wasn't feeling myself. I thought maybe bladder infection. But unknown to me, some of those diverticula, the plural, diverticulum is one. Some of those diverticula had become inflamed and infected. And some of them burst through the lining of my colon wall. And when that happened, some of the contents of my colon were spilling out into my peritoneum, my abdominal cavity. And that causes something called peritonitis, which, if not treated, is fatal. So they put me in the hospital for 7 days on IV antibiotics. And they said if they had to have done surgery, then I would have needed a colostomy bag. At any rate, after 7 days of antibiotics, they sprung me. They let me come home. I was home for a week or two, and I had another flare up. I did not perforate, but they put me in the hospital for another 3 or 4 days on IV antibiotics. Then I had tendonitis really bad in my left ankle because of the antibiotics. I've got it now on my right ankle because of the antibiotics. But anyway, they let me come home, and then a couple weeks later, I was back in the hospital with a huge flare up. Now, I'd already spoken to a surgeon. We thought we'd wait until June to do the surgery, but because of the number of flare ups I had, he said that I should not wait. I should have it done right away. So on May 8th, I went in and they removed about that much of my colon, about 18 inches or longer. And after the surgery, I immediately felt better. I was sore and all of that, and I'm still get tired easily. But I was really, really sick for about 7 or 8 weeks. In fact, I didn't realize how sick I was until after I had the surgery. It's just taken me a while to get back, but it's only been 4 weeks, 4 weeks today, and here I am. So thank all of you for your loving kindness and support. Normally on Thursdays, Kevin Chandler and I do a show together, but Kevin is leaving for vacation. So I'm doing the Mel part of the Kevin and Mel show tonight. So, all righty. So Aiden, shall we get to the questions? Okay, today on X, Musk called Trump's new economic bill an abomination. Yes, I know. I think he called it abomination even before today. And as a lot of us in the community had predicted, hey Becky, I want to say thank you. Thank you so much for the cheesecakes. Oh my God, they came yesterday and they were still part frozen. I had to have a piece. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Anyway, back to this. Many of us in the community had predicted that there was probably going to be a falling out, not probably, there would be a falling out between Trump and Musk. And, I remember Trump saying, "Oh, I can't get enough of the guy. He's right next to me." And now there's this huge feud going on. I think that Elon Musk probably would stand behind somebody to start a new political party. That's a yes. But for Elon Musk sponsoring somebody for a political party that represents the middle class, just to get even with Trump, what middle class people are going to trust him? Elon, under your Doge, you did away with federal jobs. You did away with a lot of departments in government that were wasteful. So you said you greased your own pocket, entertainment purposes only. You so how many people do you think would vote for your candidate? Now that's a good question though, because behind the scenes, I do think he's going to find a candidate, somebody who's really for the working class, and he's going to throw a lot of money to that candidate. But the difference is that candidate will not be bought by Elon Musk. So there's going to be a huge war between Trump and Musk. I see Musk losing a lot of money, as will Trump. So anyway, that rift has begun, and it's going to get nasty. Elon's got some things on Trump he's going to come out with. You wait and see. Anyway, I see somebody gave us $10. Cindy L gave us $10. Thank you, Cindy. Today's money will be donated to Chicago Canine Rescue. And everybody, please hit the subscribe button and thumbs up. Elon Musk stated today that Trump is in the Epstein files. Wow. That is the real reason they have not been made public. How is Trump feeling right now that Elon is not airing out this very dirty laundry? I think Trump is nervous. And when Trump gets nervous, he punches back. He's very nervous. I do see some of those files being leaked. And I'll give you a guess as to who will leak them. but Trump would deny it. It's a lie. It's a witch hunt. It's this. It's that. So my guides have shown me all along that Elon, it would be kind of be a whistleblower against Trump, or tell another party, or leak something. But something big, something huge is coming. I'm telling you. That's what I foresee. All right. Elon and Trump used to be close allies. Do you see them ever being close again? No, I do not. I think my feeling is that with a personality like Trump's, that when somebody goes against him in a big way, they stay enemies. The only way Trump would make up with Elon Musk is if Elon Musk would donate lots of money to Trump, and I don't feel that's going to happen. Um, Elon could try to pander to the liberals, but I don't see the liberals buying it. He is, however, as I said earlier, my guides are telling me, going to put in another candidate um, that he thinks would pander to the liberals, but that candidate would not, absolutely not, be bought up by Elon Musk. Hi, Becky. Well, he leaked the election results. I don't know if he'll leak the election results, but he would put forth, without saying so, that the election should be questioned. I don't know exactly how he'll say it, but he's going to leak a lot of other stuff. That's what I pick up. Hello, Helen. How are you? um, who gets custody of Mr. Maybelline in the divorce battle between Taco and Musk? Well, Mr. Maybelline would stay for a while anyway, loyal to T. Rump, but and right now they might not be speaking, but behind the scenes, I'm seeing that um, that Mr. Maybelline will be talking to Elon Musk. And Elon Musk would offer some way or another to sponsor him. That's what I pick up. Okay, Tapioca Thievery, thank you so very much. Thank you. Okay. Bannon is tweeting that Trump should investigate Musk's immigration status. Do you see Musk being deported, or will Musk leave the U.S. before that happens? Isn't that wild that when Musk was the head of Doge and all of this, that, he and Bannon were sweethearts, and not sweethearts, but oh my God, they, they were, if one stopped real quick, the other one would get brown on their nose. And now that Elon and Trump are having a falling out, now Bannon, uh, oh yeah, investigate his immigration, do this, do that. I see him back in South Africa, but if Trump threatens to deport him, he would fight it. He's got the money to get the best top lawyers, and he'd be bring it on. And the other thing is that I feel that Musk knows a lot about the inner workings of the Trump regime, and I don't think Trump wants to bite off that. So that's what I'm picking up, spirit animal. Thank you. Hello, Melanie. Thank you so much. Thank you. Cindy L asks, is this the beginning of the end for Trump? Oh, that's a good question. Well, I think the beginning of the end started a while ago. I see more like a ski rope, and those are really strong, and they're braided. And then there's numerous braids rebraided. And then you take a knife and you cut it, and it starts to unravel, but you still got a piece of the rope. So I see like that ski rope, and it's got a snag in it, and it's starting to unravel. And it just keeps going further and further up the rope. It's unraveling that way, but also this way. So horizontally and vertically. So the unraveling has begun. I think it's going to take another year and a half for it to unravel completely. But Trump, I do not feel will finish out his presidency, nor do I see Maybelline in charge. And, the midterms will tell a lot. And I see the Democrats taking over the House and the Senate during the midterms. So, yes, it is the unraveling, if you will. And people want to know when. But, I'd like to say tomorrow at 2:30. But I don't know. I see the number 1.5. I don't think it's a month and a half. It could be a year and a half. Antoinette's granddaughter asked, is this the state of a tell-all between Trump and Musk? I'm sorry. It is the beginning. I'm telling you, there's going to be leaks. But Trump has to be very careful because Musk knows a lot, almost everything about the inner workings of Trump's regime and Trump's cabinet, and was sitting in firsthand and heard a lot of the conversations with the courts and things like that. So there's going to be huge leaks. Oh, yeah. Krusty Snapper asked, do you see Elon being offered full immunity if he would spill the tea on the last election results and alleged tampering? I see special prosecutor being appointed. Not right now. It's going to take a while. Might take a year and a half. And that special prosecutor, they'll do some investigations, and they would offer him some forms of immunity if he tells what he knows. So instead of saying we're going to charge you with this, we'll charge you with this, but you cooperate with us. That's how I see that playing out. Tesla stock dropped 14% a day, wiping out over 150 billion in value. Is this the start of a collapse in Musk empire? It's the start of my guides tell me it's the start of a long downward spiral for the Musk empire. I had made a prediction a long time ago that hydrogen vehicles will be the way of the future. And I just made a prediction that, there's going to be two huge car companies merging, and they have a new hydrogen engine, and they're going to premiere it more in California because they have to have the hydrogen charging stations, and it's really environmental friendly. And that will, they'll try it in just various states. Now the oil companies be against it, so would Musk, but that's going to be the wave of the future because the only byproduct is water vapor. And so I see that taking hold really soon and really fast. And that's not going to help with electric vehicles. Electric vehicles will be okay for around town, but to be on the highway for any length of time, you can go about 300 to 350 miles on a tank of, your tanks of hydrogen, and filling them is really easy. It's like being at a gas station, and it's safe. Whereas, with electric car, you have to charge it forever. So I see Tesla stock continuing to plummet to the point where he's going to want to sell it. But the question is, what will be left to sell? So, yeah, those stocks aren't doing well. Hey, Carol, welcome aboard. Thank you for becoming a member. Yay. Thank you, Robert. Thank you so much. Veronica. Thank you, Veronica. Hello, Mel. Maria Salazar, Republican from Florida, is set to introduce immigration bill this month that would help lots of people. Will she be successful? If the immigration bill will help a lot of people, well, Florida is going to, the people in the House, wait, is she in the House or is she in the Senate? She must be in the House. She's going to introduce the bill. And she'll get a few people in the House on her side, but the MAGAs will be totally against it. But I see a bill like that continuing to come up to help, that would help lots of people to keep them from being deported illegally, and have a better due process. I see that bill coming up again and again, and ultimately something like it passes the Senate, but it's gonna take quite a while. Meanwhile, the courts are going to hold him in contempt because he's not following what the courts are telling him he's supposed to do. Trump just had a call with China's how do you say Jinping, Xi Jinping, after months of silence, and it rattled markets. Could this conversation mark the beginning of something bigger? War, peace, more tariffs? I think Trump was trying to flex muscle that he doesn't have. And, you know, he's supposedly bringing China to a tariff deal. It's the best deal they got. But if you read it closely, absolutely nothing changes. So Trump wants to make it look like a win when it's really not a win. I think in a very strong, firm way, China's leader told Trump, don't do the tariffs because we can do them back to you. And look how much in this country we depend on Chinese manufactured products. And a lot of American companies have manufacturing plants in China. And he wants to start charging tariffs. Well, the Chinese could very easily make it very difficult for some of those large companies that do their manufacturing over there. So it'd be interesting. Trump thought he could kind of bully it, but he couldn't. So, thank you, Leslie. Thank you for all you do for us. That's so sweet. Thank you. Sharon Donnelly asks, will Musk no longer support the satellite that goes to the space station? He'll support that because he wants to see his name in print. If I'm leaning forward, it's because I have a bag of ice, my fancy ice pack, and I've got it on my ankle. That's why I keep leaning forward. It keeps falling off. So I'm just going to put my leg up, and there we go. This will work now. Okay. Behind the scenes, the bloopers. He'll support the space station because he likes to see his name in print. What I do see is a lot of countries saying they no longer want Starlink. And a lot of those countries will come up with their own system, like what Starlink does, but it would be owned by those individual countries, or have one common European agency overseeing the satellites that those European countries would work together to put it into orbit. That's how I see it, like a European agency overseeing. But most countries I see in the European Union, they're already working on strategies to replace Starlink. And so it's going to be obsolete and a thing of the future. I see within the next 5 or 6 months, a lot of these countries are going to start putting satellites in orbit. So that's how I see it. But he'll still get people to and from the space station. But he could even lose that contract because European space agencies would offer to do it. So I say a European Space Agency. Iris Powers. Thank you, Iris. Hi, Mel. This morning, I had a dream that a lot of police were escorting Trump. And in my dream, I was driving, trying not to crash into the parade. And I said out loud, oh, he's going to cross over soon. It felt so real, perhaps a sign. Now, some people might say wishful thinking, Iris, but I do think that dream is an omen or harbinger of what's going to be coming down. A lot of people are having similar dreams and similar feelings about it. So the way I judge my timing is the stronger I see or sense or feel something, that tells me that it's going to occur, how quickly it'll occur. If I sense it really strong, then it's going to be sooner than later. And it looks like this dream was so strong, that means it will be sooner than a lot later. But how do we define sooner? Sooner is not tomorrow. But we're all hooking into a lot of this consciousness about what's going to happen. And I'm thinking it's going to happen within the next year and a half. There's just going to be numerous things coming that will add up. Melissa Gerber, will Job Corps get back up and running? The short answer is yes. It's going to take a while. I see lawsuits being filed in federal court, and the federal court saying, no, you just can't do away with the Job Corps. Once Trump is out of office, I see it going full steam ahead. Um, Thousands of teachers lost their jobs, and thousands of students with homes were sent home. They are otherwise unhoused. This whole idea, um, Musk promoted it, Trump's promoting it, let the poor suffer, almost let them eat cake. And I watched some debates in the House and the Senate, and how the MAGAs are trying to put forth this legislation that they're saying is discrimination, because they're saying that the white people are being discriminated against. And I watched a lot of that going on this afternoon. Um, I see an end to the spinning of the hypocrisy, the racism, the bigotry, and the vitriol. I saw Ted Cruz talking, and I just wanted to jump out a window. Oh. You know, I think even with some of those teachers who voted for Trump, look what happened. You lost your job. One of our subscribers and friends lost their job. She called my office, and I didn't call her back yet. Sorry, because I was just feeling real weak. But I do see you working soon, our friend. So more teachers, unfortunately, are going to lose their jobs. And when the kids aren't in school, the communities are going to start crying out, help us. What happened? So I do see the Job Corps getting back up and running, but it's going to take a while. Students with homes were sent home, and many are unhoused. I don't think the Trump administration is going to do much for homelessness either. And it's really going to get out of hand. It's already out of hand, but it's going to get worse. But here again, this whole idea of, we'll let them find a job. Well, there's not enough jobs for everybody. And it's not that some of these homeless people are being lazy. It's almost impossible to live. I mean, what's worse, not having a job or having a job that pays substandard wages and not having enough money to pay your bills? So we need to focus on creating jobs. And the Trump administration won't do that. But once he's gone, we will. Trump just announced Thomas Fugate, 22-year-old ex-gardener and grocery store assistant, to lead the U.S. terror prevention. How badly will it go? My response is, on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being mild, 10 to being the worst. It's like when I went in the hospital with this first flare-up of peritonitis, they said on a scale of 1 to 10, what's the pain? And I said, 100. So on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being 10 being horrid, he's going to end up ranking about 100. I don't see him in that position for a long time. I see the number 8. It could be 8 months, 8 days. He's not going to be in it long. He is going to make a royal mess out of it. A royal friggin' mess. Julie, Auntie Mel, you're looking pretty good. I'm glad you're better. We need you and your talents. Good, thank you. Everybody, please, if you like it, give it a good old, hold on a minute. I got to get this right. My computer illiteracy is showing here. Give it a good old thumbs up and subscribe. Aiden is behind the scenes pulling strings. Thanks to Aiden. And we're going to have to get him up and doing a show again. We'll have him on my channel. How's that? All right. Artemis RN. Thank you, Artemis. $5. Thank you. Hello, Mel. Do you see everybody going down once Taco goes down? Will it take years to take down the administration? It's not going to take years to take it down. Once it starts coming down, it's going to be very reminiscent of the Nixon years. And, under the Nixon administration, Attorney General, I think it was John Mitchell, went to prison. And Pam Bondi needs to be careful, because they're going to come after her for obstruction. I see special prosecutor appointed there. So I think, Trump comes down, and then certain members around him, because of things that are spilled out, then they're working with people like, if you cooperate, we'll charge you with less. If you don't cooperate, we're going to charge you with anything that'll stick. So, Trump, Vance, and then all around slowly. at least 3 or 4 biggies, and then a bunch of them. It's going to be like, well, I wonder who's being indicted today. I wonder who's going to get convicted today. So the effect is starting, I'm telling you. Sue Barnes, I ordered Androniki on Sunday, then Yolanda had him on Tuesday, so was glad to hear the backstory. I got it today, fast delivery. Beautiful packaging and easy to use. Thank you. Thank you, Sue. Yeah, I've known Andrew for a long time. Androniki was his grandmother's name, and the male name of that in Greek is Andronikos, I think. And so, like he said, when he was thinking for the name and the product, I mean, the story goes deeper than this, but when he was looking for the name of a product, his grandmother came into his mind, and her name was Androniki, and he said, "There it is." But the story is really a spiritual story too. He wasn't expected to live as a child, and yet miraculously he did. And so this product's been a long time in the making, but it's an excellent product. So thank you, Sue. You'll love it. Let me know. You'll love it. You'll absolutely love it. Cynthia, I don't feel the life in danger. No, that I do not see. What I do see is, this. Well, I can't say I'll get put in YouTube jail. This kindergarten bickering between he and Trump is going to escalate and escalate and escalate. And then my feeling is they'll say there's a truce, but behind the scenes, Musk is going to do everything in his power to upend Donald Trump and will be beneficial in succeeding. All right. Natalie Michelle. Hello, Natalie Michelle. Mel, at some point, will you cover the use of space lasers by China? This is the good reason I'm asking. What is the story on space lasers by China? Anybody out there know? Aiden, do you know what it's about?
Apparently, there are space lasers that China is putting out in space, and someone had a question about.
I'm sorry, Aiden, you're kind of breaking up. Say again.
Someone had a question about space lasers that China is putting up.
Yes.
I don't know anything about it, but I just looked it up, and apparently, these lasers can detect satellites from miles and miles and miles away. And they're weapons, and they are currently being actively researched and developed to be put into space.
I got you. Okay. Thank you, Aiden. All right. I like the actively researched and developed. But if China has it, we also have it. And my guides have shown me for a long time there would be lasers that would be capable of detecting and knocking out intercontinental ballistic missiles, or an anti-missile or whatever you want to call it, that could take down, a missile. So yes, they are experimenting on it. I think they're also experimenting on how to weaponize lasers, but yet we're doing the same thing here. So I think China is starting to test them out. Yes. That's how I see it. What happened to empathy? That's a good question, Barbie. It used to be we were a country, well, many of us, that were empathetic and we cared and we wanted to help our neighbor. I will say that over 60% of us still are. And fortunately, it's that small other side, the American apartheid, the MAGAs, that are controlling and making it look like the rest of us are not empathetic. And I think, those of us who abhor these deportations without due process and just picking people up and sending them away and not showing any empathy for the families left behind or for those people, a lot of those people have committed no crime at all. And, many of us are empathetic. we get penalized almost for being empathetic. So I do think that many of us are going to start speaking up more and more and showing more and more empathy. And you know, and also reminding the regime that the Constitution says we have the right to criticize the government. We have the right to speak up against injustice without fear of reprisals from the government. And a lot of people are going to really be speaking up against the inequality, the bigotry, the prejudice, the racism. So it's going to be empathy plus sympathy. And it's starting already. So I'm not going to let those ones who are, pushing hatred and vitriol and lies and chaos and anarchy, that's not going to make me stop being any less empathetic. And many people are going to start voicing that. So I hope that answered your question. Lumiere, I think is how you pronounce that. We're going to need more popcorn. You got that right? Lots of it. Sound like Paula Deen with lots of butter, y'all. Believe it or not, I don't eat popcorn. I used to work in a movie theater. There were like 6 under one roof. And I worked on Saturdays and I didn't have enough money to buy lunch. And they put me in the popcorn room and I would pop popcorn all day. And what would I do? Eat popcorn. I was so hungry. And I got so burnt out on popcorn. I just don't eat it much anymore. Thank you, Natalie and Michelle. And you go back to that last question. I don't think I answered it. I was too hung up in the popcorn story. Carla Donahoe asked, what do you guys say about the Rockland County, New York being allowed to proceed with discovery for the discrepancies they have found with the election results? Wait, let me read that again. What do your guides say about the Rockland County, New York being allowed to proceed with discovery? Well, I don't know if it's election results on the national level or election results on the state level, but they're going to have evidence to show that the election indeed was tampered with. And, the opposition is going to try to squelch it in court. But they, it might look as if the opposition wins a few battles in court, but on appeals, it'll be turned over. So it'll be proof positive that there was tampering. Absolutely. That's what I see. Okay, thank you. $5, Susie Cat person. I like that. Thank you for the $5. Hi, Mel. Hope you're feeling well. Yes, I'm feeling a lot better. Thank you. Mel's readings are the greatest. Thanks, Becky. Thank you. And I had some of your cherry juice before. This isn't gout this time, it's tendonitis, but I like the cherry juice. Liza M. Hi, Mel. Do you see them removing the tax cuts for the rich or Medicaid cuts? I see Medicaid cuts coming. No, I'm sorry. Oh, she's talking about in this bill. I see the tax cuts for the rich being brought down a bit. And I also see Medicaid cuts because the idea is going to be like, okay, why are you cutting and hurting these people so these people can get the tax breaks? And I think some of these people, in the House and in the Senate are starting to think about, if we keep pushing this big, beautiful bill, what's going to happen? Are we going to get voted in again? So I see some Medicaid cuts, but remember, those Medicaid cuts won't stick because after the midterms, I see a huge change coming for the better. And all that stuff Trump is doing right now will be overturned. Once again, Roe v. Wade will be upheld. The whole trans thing will be put to rest in a positive way. A lot of these things at the Supreme Court, the whole presidential immunity, they're going to revisit that soon and say, no, we're going to redefine presidential immunity. Now, they can base it on findings from a lower court, but they're going to have to, a lot of stuff that they've done is going to be reversed. She sees a blue aura around me. Okay, Miriam Gilbert. A blue aura um, would represent um, abundance. Uh, Green to me is healing. So yeah, I've been, not working for almost a couple of months off and on. I've been worried a little bit about abundance or lack thereof, and I'm thankful for the things I have. So, but I take part of that blue aura as healing as well. So thank you. I'll take that. I'll take that. Lynn Tower, what do you see happening with Melania? Um, I'm not going to go into their personal life. I'm not going to go into any of that. I don't think she wants to spend a lot of time in the White House, like she said. I think she feels being pretty taxed upon to be, back in the White House. um, Once Trump is out of office, she's just going to go on being Melania. I don't see a long-term future for that marriage. I don't know if it's divorce or because of Trump's demise, but Trump needs to really watch his health. I still see dark clouds around his head area, which indicates stroke or circulatory stuff. But I'm telling you, my guides are telling me that his health is going to be really bad. There's some huge health crisis coming for him. And I don't wish him harm. I don't wish anybody harm. But that's coming soon. Jerry D. Auntie Mel, I keep you in my prayers daily. Thank you. Did you get stronger and wiser each and every day? I don't know about wiser. A little bit stronger every day. Um, had I waited a day before going into the hospital, they told me I would have died. So that was pretty sobering. And the message is always listen to my guides because they're saying, get to the hospital. My husband's saying, get to the hospital. I'm like, nah, maybe it'll go away. And then it was like, you need to go or you could die. And finally, I listened to that. So, all right. Pam Bondi said she would arrest anyone who called Cheetolini taco. I'm in trouble. I'm demonstrating with a taco suit on. I'm sorry. I wonder if the hot sauce will hit the wall there, Becky. You can't arrest somebody for calling somebody, Trump always chickens out taco. It's certainly not any kind of racial slur, that's for sure. If anything, Trump's a disgrace to a taco. I mean, I like tacos. The ones you eat. I find perverse humor in the fact they call him, it means Trump always chickens out taco. And he treats our Latin American brothers and sisters so poorly. So if she tried to arrest people that would call him taco, she can try, but it's clearly against our freedom of speech. It's not a hate crime to call them that. They might say that, but it's not. It's clearly against our freedom of speech. So she can try it all she wants, but she is going to be investigated for obstruction of justice and found guilty of that. Kash Patel will as well. And I foresee her in a lot of trouble for abuse of power. So Laura Carlos says, hi, Mel. I had a dream that a big plane went down in shallow water. It was upside down. Do you see more air crashes ahead for the United States, for us? I don't really hook into that unless it hits me. I haven't seen any coming. I do see some near misses and some accidents on the runway, but more with smaller airports, and it would still involve some military aircraft. But I'll due respect, Laura, I hope your visual is wrong. I'm just not picking up on it. Let's see how I say it. Inghud Naluv. I can't. Will the boat Greta is on be successful in delivering food to Gaza? Will they be safe? They're going to try to stop that delivery, but make no mistake about it, those trucks are marked really, really well. So the Israelis or anybody can't say, well, we mistook it and we thought that it was full of terrorists like a Trojan horse. They can't say that because whoever's delivering this food has let Israel know every second where that truck is going to be, when it's going to be there. They might try to stop it, but they will not succeed. I see lots of people, like just multitudes of people gathered around that truck or trucks, and it's going to be so successful. It'll happen again and again that they do get food into Gaza. Um, Mercury Angel said it was awesome to see people stand up to those fake ICE officers. And you know what, Mercury? More and more people are going to be standing firm and say, are you a sworn officer? Show me your ID that you are a sworn officer, or we're not going with you. People are just going to be defying them, saying, absolutely not. Where's your warrant? Where's your due process? And so I see people starting to rise up against this. And they're going to have to come up with a way to really identify who these officers are rather than what's going on now. So people will continue to stand up. Aiden reads Tarot Hayden. Let's see. Oh, yay. 1,000 viewers in the room. Thumbs up, hit and describe. Go for it. Thank you. Let me play with my new computer here. Well, I got it a while ago. I should have learned to use it by now. There, Aiden, how's that grab you? All right. Grandmama on the go says, always smile when I find you online. Oh, thanks, Grandmama on the go. Why don't you come with us on one of my trips, Peru or Iceland? Then you'd be Grandmama on the go to Peru or Iceland. Sherry, yay, Sherry, how are you, sweetie? She says, Mel is the greatest. I just love him to death, and I'm so proud to call him my friend or boyfriend when his hubby isn't around. Well, girlfriend Sherry, you can be both friend and girlfriend. Gary just sent me a note and said, he didn't. But Gary just said, well, girlfriend Sherry, pat it and wish it well. Thanks, Sherry. That's so sweet. Sherry is a dear friend. She's just wonderful. She's an excellent psychic. So Sherry, voices from the swamp. So y'all get your butts on over, and like we're saying to Kentucky, where I come from, and hit that subscribe and like button for Miss Sherry, y'all. All right. Puppets and Ponies. Please, Mel, would you be able to speak on the banks and if they will stay stable and open? I see the stock market taking a bunch of big hits. The bank stocks are going to be going up and down, and I see the economy going into a recession, inflation, all that stuff, and very near depression. We wouldn't be in a huge depression, but the economy. But it's funny. I still see Americans wanting to travel overseas. You all don't be afraid of that. The tourist industry here is hurting because of Trump's tariffs. I don't see the banks collapsing. I never did. Back in 2000 and 2008, everybody was like, oh, the banks are going to collapse, and they did not. And I don't see that happening this time either. I mean, I just see we're going to be paying so much money for goods and services and raw materials, and Trump won't be able to blame it on anybody. He'll try to, blame it on Biden and whoever he can blame it on, but it won't work. So Carla Donahoe asks,
I just wanted to add something real quick. Hi guys, it's Aiden.
Hi, Aiden.
A lot of people have been asking about the purple crowns in the chat of all the YouTube live streams nowadays. It's getting really confusing. I just wanted to clear it up. So YouTube added a new feature that basically, the more comments that you send and the more super chats you send, the more XP that you'll have. and at the end of the live stream, YouTube will rank everybody by their XP. It's pretty, should I say, stupid. It doesn't really do anything besides.
So for somebody who is computer illiterate like I am, what is an XP?
I don't know. It's kind of like points. So the more comments that you send and the more super chats you send, the more points that you get. It's kind of interesting. I don't understand why they're doing it, but I just wanted to answer that because I saw Lisa's comment, Lisa Foster's comment about what do these purple crowns with numbers beside our name mean? And I wanted to clear it up. So that's what that means. If you're ever on YouTube and watching a live stream.
Hi, Lisa.
Okay, I'm gonna go back into my cave.
Thanks, Aiden. Aiden, what would I do without Aiden? He's my helper. Okay. Shall we continue? Mila Nord. Wow, $59. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank everyone. Antoinette's granddaughter. Do you see 45 being impeached after the midterms and it finally sticking? Is that when he leaves? I see him impeached. Impeach just means to bring to trial. You had to have enough votes in the House to do it and then get to Senate. The Senate finds him guilty, then he's removed from office. But impeach just means to bring to trial in the Senate. I see more articles of impeachment. Yes, there's already been some drawn up. They didn't go far. But I'm seeing more and more stuff, specifically with some of the stuff Elon Musk is going to be spilling out and other people. I see articles of impeachment drawn up. Now, here again, it won't go anywhere. But then what I do see is that, with the whole impeachment thing, it's like a little snowball and it's tiny and it's not doing much. It looks like it's almost melted, but one little flake is left. And then the snowball grows and it starts to try to roll and it doesn't go anywhere. It melts a little bit, but pretty soon it gains momentum. And pretty soon it turns into an avalanche. And that's how I see it. So I'm intuiting that there's going to be, I would say, probably so much talk of impeachment articles filed, they don't go anywhere. But, within the next year and a half, I see it going to the Senate. And this is going to be some really serious stuff. It's going to make it look like what he did before, look like a gentle wind as compared to what they're going to come up with this time. So he's going to be in deep trouble. I see him convicted again, and this time I see him having to pay the piper. I don't think that case in New York, that federal case where the judge, no, it's a case in New York. That case hasn't gone away. I don't know if that's just stayed or put on hold for a while, but that case has not gone away because I see that resurrecting. I am fighting for my trans niece. Julie, I want you to keep fighting for your trans niece. I will fight until my last breath for the rights that belong to her. You go, Julie. That's what I'm talking about. Because if enough of us stand up for what's right, it changes the energy, giving impetus to what is wrong. I think we need to stand up for what is right: fairness, equality, inclusion, diversity. And those aren't bad words. Awoke isn't a bad word. Before, during Trump's last regime, everything was, oh, it's Antifa. He's got to have something to blame it on. But you continue to fight. And just because it looks like for a while that trans rights might be trampled upon, at the end of the day, they'll get those rights back, plus more. They'll have the same rights as all the rest of us. So that's how I see it playing out. What will happen with laughing at life? I like laughing at life. What will happen with the new FEMA director? It's like in your title, laughing at life. It is going to be one big catastrophic cluster, what? The F word. It's going to be one humongous sad joke. It's going to screw up that agency so bad. It's like I'm surprised. It'd be like, what's a hurricane? What's a flood? Oh, what are we supposed to do? We'll get some paper towels so the president can throw them.
You are
And we,
so right because the other day he didn't even know that there was a hurricane season.
right? I didn't even know he had been picked. But yeah, what's a hurricane? Um, it's going to be so totally unprepared. And with the inclement weather I see coming, a lot more ferocious hurricanes hitting Florida, Louisiana, Alabama, the eastern seaboard. Like in Chicago today, it was a beautiful day, but it was really hazy because we're getting the smoke from the wildfires in Canada. So a lot of people becoming really, really more aware of climate change and demanding something be done. And with these ferocious storms I see coming, uh, off-season tornadoes getting more vicious, floods getting like big, some droughts, all of that, um, and FEMA not doing much. When you have all that stuff going on and you have an agency that's ineffective or has an ineffective leader, then guess what? People get angry. People are going like, "What happened?" And that's another thing that's going to get Trump out of office. The people he's assigning to these jobs, like RFK, he put Robert F. Kennedy, not Fitzgerald, Robert Francis, I think Kennedy Jr. And this position is the National Director of Health and whatever Health and Human Services or whatever it is. And the guy's not a doctor. He knows absolutely nothing about medicine. He knows nothing about vaccinations. He's against them. He's for them. He's against them. He's for them. You know, um, there's a show on YouTube called Dr. Mike. And I just watched an episode of him talking about, what JFK is doing with vaccines and how, the guy, he misquotes facts. He just tells fabrications. And that he needs to be removed from office, and that's coming from a doctor. So yeah, RFK doesn't know what he's doing, and I don't see him in that position long either. But this FEMA director, joke. All right, Lauren says, hi Mel, loving the glow around you. Do you see Yellowstone super volcano having a small eruption or increased volcanic activity? I see like just a little sneeze, not even a sneeze, like a tiny little hiccup. It's just venting. That that caldera, that volcano is just miles and miles long. It's not going to erupt in our lifetime, the huge eruption, and that would be almost an extinction level event. It would be big enough to wipe out big chunks of population, if not the entire population. It's not going to happen in our lifetime, maybe in another million years. But I do see smaller eruptions, yes. But, um, it seems like it's bulging a little bit, the whole caldera. But I think smaller eruptions, but just little like vents arising here and there. That's what I see. I do think Mount Etna is going to erupt again. Okay. Hi, Mel. Briego, I can't see the last name. Recently, Mexico picked its first indigenous president of the Supreme Court in 170 years since Benito Juarez. What's coming up next for Mexico? Oh, wow. Wow, that's pretty cool. Well, I think the president of the Supreme Court there, I think, is going to practice inclusion, equality, and diversion. Not diversion, I'm sorry. Yeah, diversion. Is going to really talk about rights for indigenous peoples. And I really think that this new president of the Supreme Court is going to be excellent and bringing a lot of equality and justice to Mexico. So I predict Mexico will become a huge power, huge. So, as will Canada. Amma Deanne says, hello, Mel. Hi. What will be Putin's answer to the Ukrainian attack? Will Felon help Ukraine more now with his Starlink system? Well, at some point within the next year and a half, that Starlink system will be taken down. In Russia, anyway. I think Ukrainian is working behind the scenes with European Space Agency or something like that to come up with their own version. It's like I said earlier of Starlink. So, and they will, and it'll be a lot more superior than what's there now. Putin is very angry about the attacks because he got caught with his pants down. Like, how can this happen? But, he's going to keep doing this spin. Look at what Ukraine is doing to us. Just for the record, Ukraine hasn't targeted innocent civilians or children or hospitals. They've targeted key points in Russian infrastructure. Did I say Soviet? In Russian infrastructure. Unlike Putin, who just willy-nilly, shot drones and missile attacks and all of that into neighborhoods in Ukrainian cities. And let's remember who attacked who first. Putin attacked Ukraine unprovoked. So Putin is very, very angry. He's going to try to spin it, make it look like it's Ukraine's fault. But Ukraine has the European Union, it has NATO, and this new Polish president, he can be pro-Putin, but I see special elections in Poland and I see him out. And Poland is going to stand firm with the European Union and with NATO. So that's how I see it playing out. Okay, we join. Hi, Mel, and happy Thursday. Well, those people picked up randomly here in the States being detained get justice. They're starting to. I heard somebody came home today, but it's like Steve Bannon said, flood the court, flood the court, flood the court. So what they do is they pick up so many people that they shouldn't illegally, and then they try to deport them illegally. And there's so much of it that they're doing, it floods the courts and it bogs down the courts. But the courts are going to continue to say, you cannot do this without due process, and start holding members of ICE and the administration in contempt of court if they continue to do it. And, Linda Grindle said this, and I've been feeling it for quite a while as well. My feeling is that the court, the Supreme Court, will have some kind of policing agency, not the U.S. Marshals, but something else that's not under the DOJ, that'd be independent, that would enforce the orders of the court. I see that coming around. So, yes, so many of them will get justice, absolutely. I can't get out of the grocery store for less than $100 these days. Tell me about it. I was eating out a lot, and I look at the bill and it would be like $50 or $60. I'm like, for what? Like a little piece of steak is like, $27. It's like, wow. So unfortunately, it's going to get worse before it gets better. But what I do is in the summertime, when the farmers markets start, I buy from the farmers markets, and that helps the local farmers. It's probably not enough to sustain them during the year, but at least I support, farm to table fresh and our local farmers markets. I support them. So I buy my produce from them. It's cheaper, I think. But you know what? What can you do, Antoinette's granddaughter? Write your congressperson, just say, this is ridiculous, and keep speaking out about it. Use social media, call people's attention to it. Acadian Proud says, woke. I was awake during history class. Hi, Acadian Proud. How are you? Suki Lau. I would love to see a Democratic supermajority. Well, you will see that within the next 4 years, a Democratic supermajority. Absolutely. And then some of the MAGAs that are left behind after this dark chapter, this will be an end to the MAGAs, but some of them left behind would be like, well, how can you do this? It's unfair. You have the supermajority. And the response will be, yeah, when you all had it, you didn't know what to do with it. So, they'll be complaining. Of course, I'm talking about the MAGAs, but this will be an end to the MAGA pretty much after Trump is out of office. And I see sweeping changes coming to prevent somebody rogue from becoming president. So, Love Awakens. Will be wild if Trump deported Elon to El Salvador. Elon would probably buy the prison down there, and Elon would be willing to pay the president down there more than Trump does. So we'd see who would win out on that one. But my light bulb just went on. I see a lot of whistleblowers coming out of that prison down there. How, I don't know. But it might be like through somebody who's very wealthy, like Musk, who would say, okay, let this story leak. Hi, Kathy. How are you? Hello, wonderful Auntie Mel. Do you see Joe Biden serving as interim president once Trump is removed? The answer is no. I don't see that. I think it would go probably, well, it would be Trump and then it'd go to J.D. Vance. But if they're both impeached, then it would go to the Speaker of the House, who would not be a Republican at that point. Froxy Roxy says, glad to know how many LGBTQ in my younger days. I've never felt so much love and acceptance. Well, we're people too, just like everybody else. There's goods one of us and bad ones of us, and just like in any other group, I suppose. But it's a community I'm proud to be a part of. I used to be ashamed for being gay, and I remember being bullied and beat up in high school and called all kinds of horrible names. And I used to pray, God, please don't let me be gay. And now I'm like, God, thank you. It made me strong. So it's a community I'm proud to be a part of. Kitty Kisses says, it's all mainly red states that get hit with hurricanes that will not get FEMA aid. That's right. Well, and some blue ones too, but primarily a lot of the red ones, you're right. And they're going to be the first ones screaming. Well, you know what? It's called, okay, here it is. Some of y'all's leaders drank the Kool-Aid, and you all shouldn't have to suffer because they drank the Kool-Aid. So I think a lot of folks in those red states are going to start speaking up and out and say, we need help. And there's going to be a huge momentum against Trump and those folks down there protesting because they will need a lot of help, and FEMA's not going to cut it. Helen, I can never pronounce her last name. Zeszutko? I don't know. Lindsey Graham, I've been saying for a long time, is going to be undone. And so will Cruz. I mean, I watched his rhetoric, and it just is very kindergartenish. And it's almost like he's a bully. And I saw Cory Booker go back at him, and I was watching the sparring match. And Cruz thought he was winning, but I thought Booker did a pretty good job. So there you go. I don't see them staying in power. I don't. I see them being replaced. Makoto says, what happened to Rand Paul? Did switch his soul to fight for the people recently, or is he still on the Team Orange? He dropped his anti-Fauci crusade and going against Trump now. I wouldn't go as far to say as Rand Paul is any less conservative. There was there were some things in that bill Rand Paul didn't like, because he's also super conservative on spending. And there was some spending parts of it he didn't like. So, I heard him talk, and he said if they could get those parts out, then he would vote for the bill. So he didn't switch to fight for the people. He switched to is more because of his conservatism. I do give him credit. He's the only one of the few who spoke up against it. So, he just said that, I think, I forgot what he said about the spending, but it was just out of hand. So, I don't know if he's going against Trump. He's going against the bill. It's more like Trump going against him. But actually, that could unite the people in Kentucky to keep Andy Beshear or another Democratic governor in office. And I see Kentucky going purple. And that's not wishful thinking on my part. Krish Cool says, "Hi Mel, can you see if Fleon acquired the Epstein files while he was poking around in everybody else's business?" My guides tell me he has access to the files and he's looked at some of them, but I don't remember, didn't the court say that they couldn't release those? There was some sort of restriction. I still see the files leaked, and it's going to be huge. So I'll leave it at that. Barbara says gas is not $1.88 a gallon anywhere in the country. Who feeds this propaganda to the president? Yeah, that's a good question. I don't think anybody feeds it to him, Barb. I think he just manufactures it. It's whatever I wake up, whatever pops in my mind at that time. That's what's going on. $1.88 for gas. I don't know where he's been, but it's a different planet than where I'm living. That's for sure. Artemis RN says, do you think that they will stop trying to colonize Mars and put the money into fixing the planet we're actually being able to breathe on with flora and fauna? Well, I'd rather see money colonizing Mars than wasting money for all the tax breaks for the wealthy and wasting money on a supposed wall that was never finished. And, Donald Trump talked about waste in government spending. He's wasted more money than any president in history. So I'm all about space exploration. But you're right on the money, Artemis, because I see once Trump is gone, a lot more money being appropriated to fight against global warming. And technology is not the only answer. We have to do something. And I see a lot of money, a lot of money being invested in that futuristically. Acadian Proud. Sharon Donnelly. I think the thing to Mars, I'm sorry, my ADD kicked in. I think the thing to Mars would show that, Mars is still a hostile planet. You have to wear a suit to go outside. So even though it might support, some small colonies, it's not going to be able to support the sort of life we think. And it's really a long way to get there. So if people are thinking leaving our planet because we're polluting it so much and colonizing Mars is the answer, that's not the answer. The answer is we have to fix this climate change right away. Sharon Donnelly, can you imagine Acadian Proud, can you imagine is everyone tied to make one person smile a day? That's what I do. I try to do a good deed every day. It might be pay for the car behind me, at Starbucks or at Dunkin' Donuts, or give somebody a smile, or give them a free session or a discount. Just something nice. It doesn't have to cost you anything. It could just be saying hello to people, anything, help somebody across the street. And my feeling is that energy takes hold. This morning I was going through Dunkin' Donuts and I paid for the car behind me. It was only like $3. And as I pulled out, the guy pulled out behind me. He's honking the horn. He's waving, thank you, thank you, thank you. So, hopefully he'll go do that for somebody. But it just changed the energy and it's a good feeling. So it can be rewired. Jackie B, I'm so over grocery stores. Definitely farmers markets way to go. Yes, I agree. Unfortunately, that's not going to sustain all of our farmers. But, during the warm weather, I suggest everybody go to farmers market, buy a bunch of stuff, freeze it, do what you got to do. Acadian Proud. I worry more about Vance and his relationship with Peter Thiel. The guy is dangerous and has the money to do a lot of damage. Yes, he does. But I see the Cleopas, as we say in the South where I come from, coming down on Peter Thiel, just like it has and will on Elon Musk. There's going to be a lot coming out about that Vance-Thiel connection. Actually, in German, it's Thiel, I think. Thiel. No, Thiel. It's Thiel. Let me think. I see a lot coming out about that connection. a lot of information coming forth that'll be true. And it's really going to raise eyebrows and open eyes to um, what's going on there. I'm using my words carefully. Um, Many of us, Share Spirit says, many of us were horribly bullied. I think it's a long-term gift. We have compassion and empathy. It's horrible to be bullied. I just heard a story today where a young man didn't even finish his last semester in high school because he was being bullied. They let him graduate. But, who's watching this store? Why do they allow that sort of bullying? Um, and I am very, very outspoken against bullying. And, the current regime is a regime of bullies. But what happens when you have a bully? David slays Goliath. And that's exactly what I see with this administration. Goliath um, will be done. um, Mercury Angel says, very disappointed in Cory Booker for voting a convicted felon as ambassador to France. I don't know much about it. I have to look into it. I mean, I think if somebody's convicted of a crime and if, they've done their time and they've been able to turn their life around, then great. But certain people who are convicted of, 34 crimes, 34 felony convictions, and still continues to break the law, and people allow him to get by with it, then I have a problem with that. So, I don't know Cory Booker's reasoning for doing it. I just don't know. But let's see. Story Lover says, hi, Mel. Will you, as Georgia Representative Gary Carter, be voted out? I see a Democrat taking that spot. I hear a Democrat in that spot. A lot of traditional red areas are going to be going blue because of the economy, because of, when it comes to social issues, people say they care about it, but the bottom line is what puts people in office is the economy. And under Trump, the economy is going to get so bad. And look at the layoffs. Look at what he did with Doge. And, that's going to be a turnoff to people. So it's going to be an election changer. I see a lot of red places becoming purple or blue. Suki La Hamel, quick question. Do you see states like Tennessee, Louisiana, and Alabama going purple or still super red? Well, I see that governor down in Louisiana is going to be a one-term governor because there's a lot of voters' remorse down there. Tennessee, I can see going purple. Alabama is going to take a while. But I can see Louisiana having a lot of purple districts that will help shape future elections. Anya Ashdown says, hi, Mel. I have a dear friend back in Florida who has a now trans granddaughter, who she supports completely. Will she see and other trans kids be safe? Will she and other trans kids be safe? It's unfortunate that trans kids get picked on and bullied. But, I mean, it's just sad. If I had kids, I'd help raise a bunch of them. I don't have any of my own. But if I knew they were bullying other kids, I'd take them by the ear and I'd take them in front of the kid they were bullying and make them apologize and say, that's not cool. Unfortunately, I think there are a lot of parents out there who think it's okay for their kids to be bullies, that it's okay to pick on people, and it's not. So your friend in Florida, tell her to keep up the good work, and she's going to be very, very proactive in trans rights. So good for her. Okay, Laughing at Life says, taking care of each other releases endorphins, not just to the people within the interaction, but everywhere, watching the feeling. And the idea of quantum physics is that one little particle is kind of hooked into another particle at some distance away. So there's this energetic hook in between them. And I kind of look at that as the same is taking care of each other. That energy, that positive energy, it attracts other particles of positive energy. And so, yeah, it's kind of like that odic force that surrounds all of us. And if we do something good, others can feel it too. So I agree with that. That was good, laughing at life. Cassie Yarsky says, today, out of the blue, Trump said he had a debate with the human mind. What? I had this debate with the human mind. Does that mean yours isn't human, Donald? I mean, he's living proof that some human beings really did evolve from pond fungus. A says, what is the future for the African American community in these certain times? We are not out protesting, so what can we do to help our community and country? Well, you look at some of your House members, like Jasmine Crockett, and some of the people that are in the House and in the Senate, and how they're speaking up. And it's up to all of us to go out and speak up against bigotry, racism, and injustice, and stand up for each other, regardless of our religion or the color of our skin. And so I see the African American community regaining a lot of strength. They'll be one of the communities to help save our democracy. And I see affirmative action coming back. And I think we need affirmative action. So that's how I see it playing out. Night Moon Glow says, T uses the White House for a car commercial for Tesla. I know. That was like, honest Don, would you buy a car from this man? Hell no, I wouldn't. Now T says, Elon Musk always knew he was going to stop the electric car stuff. Love when the lies are so in our face. Oh, it's going to get better. Buckle up. I think we have time for a few more, and then we need to cut it. Okay. Truth to power. Mel, Cory Booker voted Jared Kushner's dad into that spot because he paid for Cory to get into office. Kushner used to be a Democrat. Kushner is crooked and hasn't learned his lesson. I don't disagree with you at all. Truth to power. So thank you for keeping us informed. Kathy Reagan's, Auntie Mel. Oh, Glenn Kirshner, I just saw flash across my screen that Donald Trump lost four court cases. We'll have to see what they are. Auntie Mel, do you see Joe Biden revered as one of the greatest presidents in history? I think it will go down in history that he did more for that he did more than any other president in this country since 1965. Absolutely. And so, his accomplishments will be marked down in history, where Trump will be remembered in history as the most corrupt American president. Chris Cole says, wow, thanks for asking my question. Elon possibly implied a threat to Trump that if Trump tries to sue him for defamation, he likely has the goods. Oh, he's got some goods, all right. Thanks again for answering my question. Thanks for asking it, Chris. All right. So I'm going to be doing a lot more of these live. Either Aiden or Sherry can be behind the scenes pulling the strings, or in front with me and pulling the strings. Aiden, thank you so much. Everybody, please thumbs up, subscribe. Normally on Thursdays, I'm on with Kevin, but he went on vacation today, and he's going to be gone next Thursday. So, Aiden, we're going to tell everybody, join us here again next Thursday, 6 p.m. For Mel Answers Your Questions. And we'll see you next Thursday as well. I'm going to start doing morning moments with Mel again and setting up meetings to answer questions from my members, your personal questions, a couple times a month. So everybody join the channel. You get discounts on readings and become a member. And become a subscriber. Let's see what else. I'm also going to be doing more live shows with just me and collabs as well. So thank you for tuning in tonight. It's been a pleasure. I couldn't do it without all of you. Hit the subscribe button, hit the thumbs up. Um, until next week, bye.